Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. I'm Gav, and with me I have got Matt and I've got Emmet, and this is the Sunday night Kop. Liverpool have beaten Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club by 3 goals to 0 at Anfield in the FA Cup fourth round. That puts us into the fifth round, and then I looked up when the draw is, and I think it's on tomorrow at some stage because this team's playing tomorrow in it, which annoyed me a little bit. But they've gone into round five. All is good. Everyone seems quite positive over the performance and all that. And we're going to have a little look at it. If you haven't watched our post-match show, you can. It's on YouTube and you can download it and listen on all your podcast apps. And if you missed out our post-match extra, which is on Patreon, you can sign up there for the price of two and a bit Kit Kats a month, and you can watch all the stuff there, which we're having a lovely time over there. So do that if you want. Try it for a month, all that messing. Anyway, I'm going to come to Matt first this week because I can't remember who I came to first last week. So I'm just going to go to Matt because we won and Emmet really wants to talk first, but he's not going to. Matt, I know you've done the post-match show, but this show is probably more of it. We've a bit more time to digest the performance and stuff like that. But I really liked watching that match last night, and it was only afterwards when I realised, geez, there is a bit of pressure here because if we believe that Arne Slot is under pressure for his job, right, either in the short, medium, or semi-long term, well, it's not even long term, you're looking at a couple of months' time when they might make a decision on him. This FA Cup is gathering importance by the fucking day, and I think it showed in his team selection.
Yeah, that and just the desperate state of the squad overall, both in terms of form, fitness, and the trust of the manager. So I don't think he was ever going to pick players that he's not at least given some minutes to. I guess Calvin Ramsey is the exception to that rule. But I don't think there was ever a chance he was going to start a bunch of kids from the academy or anything like that. Even young Morrison that made the bench there. I can't remember which game that was. Might have been the last one even, that Kieran Morrison was added onto the bench. He was never going to start this game. But, yeah, it's a funny thing about the FA Cup is, you don't pay much attention to it, and the next thing you know, you're like, we're only 4 games from a final here. And all of a sudden it starts to become important. The third round, you kind of forget about. Fourth round, a little bit. By the time you get to the fifth round, you're starting to actually name the rounds properly. Quarterfinals, round of 16 sort of stuff. So, yeah, it was good. I really liked the way that we were playing. We were playing with a team that wasn't scared shitless, it looked like. I think we won a few early 1v1 battles on the pitch, and that gave certain players a much-needed confidence boost. Mo Salah, Milos Kerkez, I think they had a little test early on, and they came out on top in a 50-50, and I think that confidence just coursed through the team, and we looked really good, like pressing from the front. We looked lively. Salah looked like he was, fully able again for the first time in a long time. So, yeah, lots of positives. The only downside, I think that Brighton team are dreadful.
They're not in great spot. I think they're 14th in the Premier League, and they're in a little bit of this no man's land, where they won't make Europe. They possibly won't get relegated. There's more chance of being pulled into a relegation battle than possibly making Europe, and they're out of the League Cup, and this was their kind of last chance to keep that kind of flame in the season going. There's been I've seen an awful lot of chat about their manager possibly losing his job very soon, so it was no surprise that Brighton came out and went strong. And Liverpool, like John was there, I don't know why the lineup being so strong was even a debate. Once you went strong versus Barnsley, you had to go strong versus Brighton. I think the argument there, Emmet, was that the amount of bodies we're missing going into this, but we've 8 days to the next game. All right, you're risking injury, but it's in a case of recovery. You haven't got a game Wednesday night. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I wasn't surprised by how he lined up and how he approached it, because I think if he makes a few changes there, even if he plays a Ramsey or a Morrison or whoever starts an Ngamoa and whatever else, I think if he gets done like he got done against Palace in the League Cup, I think people will just be all over him going, listen, you're not winning this league. We don't think you can win the Champions League, and you've just thrown the FA Cup fucking out the window as well. So that was probably a bit of his thinking.
Yeah, I wouldn't fully agree with what Matt says. They aren't a great side, Brighton, but we've drawn and possibly lost towards. Yeah, because I think we've probably been to a few and they've come back from 2 down against us at Anfield. Like they're not what they were, but there's far worse teams in the league that have taken points off us this season.
Yeah.
And I was a little surprised that, like, so they went strong. Brighton went strong-ish, but like they still had Reuter, Welbeck, and a couple of others on the bench that
Yeah.
quite possibly could have started with. I think the League Cup is where you kind of more so see the rotation or the younger players playing coming in, and I think he probably learned his lesson last year when he got dumped out by Plymouth. So probably that, and the fact that we're not going to win the league, it is a trophy, and you may as well kind of go as strong as you can. I thought that you might see Engamoa start. I think there was rumour that he was going to start. I think Chiesa, God love him, puts in another performance yesterday that maybe proves once and for all why he only gets 10, 15 minutes at the end, because he probably is good in terms of an impact, but I don't think he's a 90-minute player. And it was a good kind of litmus test yesterday coming up against a Premier League team. But I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the last few games. I enjoyed the start. The start hasn't been great, and we've kind of been a little bit disjointed, but we come into the game, and the one thing that I've been screaming out for the last while is when we win the ball back, whether it's high or in the midfield, is that we break quick. And we're starting to see that. I think we saw a little bit against Newcastle, saw a little bit against Sunderland, and now we've seen it against Brighton. And I know I've said that you won't know a real test until you come up against one of these low block teams. I don't think Brighton are a low block team. I don't think Newcastle or Sunderland are a low block team. So we probably haven't been fully tested to see if we've turned the corner. But it's great to be enjoying watching football matches again, like free flowing, like that goal. Szoboszlai's goal is like 5 players, 7 touches, bang, goal. Like that's Liverpool of old stuff. And Kerkez, Matt mentions him. I think he's coming on leaps and bounds since he's still really dogged and eager and wants, like, even when that ball breaks by a deflection, I think it's actually a Brighton player that plays it. The effort for him to go and make that ball, you'd have seen maybe other Liverpool players kind of maybe allow the Brighton player get there first and then be on him to press him, whereas he was getting to that ball first and then the cross he puts in. I think Kerkez is becoming really, really strong in there, and then you've got Robertson plays midweek and puts in a good performance. So it was good competition there for both of them, but I think maybe Kerkez has harnessed that kind of nervous, kind of wanting to impress energy that you probably saw earlier on in the season, and I think he's really blossoming into a decent left back for us. He's just, every game he seems to improve more. Like that drop of the shoulder, even in the game where he could have possibly scored, obviously given offside, but like it's just there's more attacking from him. Gakpo started to pass to him. All right, he overhit one and tried to run him into the Brighton. Run him into the Brighton players. This is crazy. What's going on? But I thought it was a really, really good performance. Not vintage Liverpool by any stretch of the imagination, but a hell of a lot better than what we'd seen in the previous weeks. And some green shoots, and just need to kick on and put the performances in. We could easily go on, like Matt says, before you know it, you're kind of in a quarter-final, in a semi-final. So let's see who we get in the draw. But I really enjoyed it, I have to say.
It won't be City, because City will get Mansfield at home. You just know they are.
Yeah,
Brian Murphy says Brighton were the perfect opponent stylistically, as Slot alluded to. I'd prefer Slot didn't go on about how certain teams play as much and commented more on what we can do. Yeah, I know he was talking about, I think he said like 2 teams in our team and Brighton are ones that kind of gone away from the, set piece thing being the be all and end all. But it's, to be fair, Slot done this last season when we were really good, and he talked to you about how teams played and stuff. It's just that the fact that I think one quote has killed him this season, and it's been the one where he said, low block, we don't have the answers, and that's killed him. So every time he mentions any system or anything, it's like, mate, we remember you talking about the low block and not being able to work it out. But that's, I know how it goes. Gar says, it's a crime that Baleba is left to languish in that team. He won't be languishing it for much longer, I wouldn't have thought, to be fair. But Scouser Pete reckons he's overrated. I don't think he is. I think Baleba is really, really fucking good. Davey T says, Evening Cowboys, the next round should be interesting. Southampton, Norwich or Mansfield at home, please. And Real Talk mentions the luxury of finishing in the top 8 in the Champions League. That Slot could play a stronger team and not worry about a playoff game this week. Just sticking on, let's go through a couple of players. And Emmet's mentioned Kerkez. And, at the start of the season, I thought people were being a bit unfair on him. I thought, look, he's 21, 22 years of age. He's made the guts of a £50 million move from Bournemouth, no disrespect to them, to Liverpool, who are the champions, everything that goes with playing for Liverpool. I think he came in, he looked over-eager at times, but I thought... I always look at players and I kind of go, are they making howlers here? Are they fucking... And I don't think he did. I don't think he did. But he is getting stronger and stronger and stronger in this side, man. And I think he's just playing his own game. I found an awful lot of Kerkez was, he's looking around, where am I? What have I to be? Where have I to be? And now he's just, it feels a bit more natural in what he's doing. Naturally what position I'm in to be in, what to do with the ball. And even the cross for the goal there, yesterday. Earlier on in the season, Kerkez gets that and finds the front man to hit. Even if he's not there, he'll find the fucking defender to hit, or he'll overhit one, or he mightn't even have the confidence to do that. He'll turn back and look for, a Szoboszlai behind him or whoever, a Gakpo backing him up. I think he's come on leaps and bounds, but I don't want to say he's the best left back in the league, but he's at where you'd expect him to be. 6 months into a Liverpool career. I just think we overhyped the start of it a bit in a negative sense.
I think the negative reaction that came to Kerkez's first couple months of the season, I think, is a natural reaction to how good of a season he had last year. Because, he might not be the best left back in the season this year, but there's a pretty decent shout that he was last year. And that's why we brought him in. So we were rightly excited. You've got this great young left back that he did fantastically at Bournemouth. You go and get him at a relatively, decent price for that fullback, and you want to see him kick on right away. And hopefully more Liverpool fans than not remember the path that Andy Robertson took through this team, that a little bit of patience and waiting for your time will pay off in the end. So my thoughts on Kerkez, and I brought this up on the post-match show yesterday after the game, was that for me, watching Milos Kerkez in that game, and I found myself trying to watch him more and more because he was obviously having a good game, was the amount of times in the last couple of times that we've seen him play in the last few weeks, it's getting less and less necessary for Virgil van Dijk to have to be telling him what to do. At the start of the season, you saw Virgil constantly telling him, and he's that type of leader in your defense, which is what you want. He's making sure that he's there. So, like Gab, you said you weren't sure if Kerkez of a couple of months ago gets to that ball, or if he does not get to that ball a couple of months ago, because he's an extra step or two back because he's worried about where he needs to be defensively, and especially at a time where we seem like we could get scored against at any possible moment. That obviously Milos Kerkez is new to the system. He played in the back four at Bournemouth, but he was playing beside Zabarnyi, Huijsen, and Senesi at different times. Those are different players than Virgil van Dijk. Virgil can do things those guys can't do. And to me, Milos Kerkez looked a lot more settled in that match, where he knew where he needed to be, and that is becoming second nature. And now he's able to focus on creating more offensively, going the other way. Case in point, 72nd minute, there's a ball that breaks from the middle of the park out to Brighton's right wing. Virgil and Kerkez are about the same distance away from it, and Virgil starts going for it, and Kerkez calls him off, tells Virgil to stay, and he runs out and he takes the responsibility. And just that little mindset shift, because I don't think Kerkez in September or October is going to tell Virgil van Dijk, no. Virgil's going to say, you go, I'll go out to the wing and cover, you drop into center half and cover me. And instead, he went out there and covered it. So, it's great. It's a little patience pays off. But I really enjoyed what we're seeing out of Kerkez.
Yeah, I just thought, I think when you look at him, like you say, I had a major issue earlier on the season where he was like holding hands with fucking Virgil van Dijk, and Sam says there Kerkez feels like he's being let off the leash, whether that's a tactical switch by Slot or Kerkez being more confident, could be both reasons. And there was another one up there that I wanted to read out. Oh yeah, Jono says he would have looked really good at the start of the season if Slot didn't try force him into this hybrid left back / left centre back strike, which I agree with. I think he was way too deep, and we've spoken so much about this season about the manager playing to players' attributes, playing to their attributes and playing to their strengths. And Kerkez's strength is being a left back that gets up and down, supports his winger, gets beyond his winger, gets balls in the box, and gets himself in the box. He's a good shot as well in the first half, doesn't he? The keeper makes a good save off it, and that's what he is. And slowly but surely, you have to start getting. If you're getting the best out of him, then you have to start getting the best out of maybe the player in front of him, or the player inside him, or the midfielder that's closest to him. And I'm hoping that we are starting to see the better attributes of players as we go on. But I thought he was excellent. Emmet, Ibrahim Konate. I'm going to talk to you really about the contract situation, because Slot was asked about it, and he said, he said we want Ibrahim to stay. We're still in contact with him. We're still in conversation with him. If we didn't want him to stay, we wouldn't be in these conversations. Do you think that's a bit of lip service? This isn't the club, because I'll tell you what's going to happen, right? I'll tell you what the scenario is, right? Because it happens all the time. Ibrahim Konate, doesn't sign for Liverpool, signs for another club, and people will go back to this Slot quote and go, well, why did you leave it this late? If you really wanted him, you would have got him signed. And I'm not saying anyone's right or wrong in this, because Virgil even said, I didn't want mine to go as far as it did, but it did, and that's the way things work. But he's been open. He's been if he's being as open as we think he is, he's openly said we want the player to stay. We're still in conversation with him. We want him to sign a new deal. Did you see this as a positive, or did you just think, fuck, when he doesn't sign, this fella's going to get slaughtered for saying that?
No, I didn't hear that until just now. So,
okay. What do you think of that?
Yeah, hot off the press.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a good thing. Is it him trying to take the higher ground to say that the club wants him to stay, and then if Konate doesn't stay, it's Konate?
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I can only see if he's doing it that, or if he's coming out purposely saying that, it's more so it's on the player. Well, we tried to sign him, he decided he didn't want to stay. I do have a feeling that Konate will sign. I don't think he'll get the money that he wants, but I also think that we'll probably have to pay a little bit more than what we probably originally wanted to. So there's a kind of a meet in the middle. I'd say it's probably in and around about the 180, 200 grand mark is where it lands. Konate's been excellent the last while. I think that his father passing was sudden, so I know that we weren't 100% sure on it, and we probably thought put his form down to maybe stuff going on at home and stuff like that. But look, he's been great the last few games, I have to say. It's like the old Konate is back. Whatever's happening, I don't know. Long may it continue. But I would 100% sign him. But it would also be 100% signing his another centre back to give him competition. I know we've signed Jacke, and I know that we have Leone, but I'd be going for another one as well. So I think we've spoken on this channel a lot about when we had Matip and we had Gomez, and Gomez was when Gomez was fit, and even Kwanzaa coming into the team, it kind of lit a fire underneath Konate, and you probably saw the best from Konate when he had a bit of competition. Maybe it's a bit of complacency that sees his form drop off a little bit. So I would sign him, but I would be planning well ahead of time to be replacing him at the same time. If that makes sense.
I think if Konate signs a new deal, I think that's a lot, to be honest with you, at centre back. And I'll tell you, this is my reasoning on it, right? Virgil van Dijk plays, okay? He plays. And, he'll have a year left on his deal come the end of the summer, but he'll play, all right? You have Leone, okay, fair enough, backup. But Jeremy Jacke is going to walk in here going, I'm playing first team football in France here. I've captained all the France teams that I've played in, and I'm 60 million quid, and I'm in here to play. So I don't know. if you're signing another player to be competition with Konate, you're signing someone you probably think is better than Jeremy Jackie. So why is that guy coming in and going, yeah, I'll go there for 60 million and just not play?
We have to have somebody to replace Van Dijk as well. We can't leave it till Van Dijk goes to have somebody. I still think, because I think Gomez probably goes in the summer. If we're all being honest, he probably goes.
Yeah.
There's been rumours the start of last season, the start of this season. So I think the end of this season is probably when he goes. Then you're leaving yourself with just 4. I think we've always said you'd probably want to have 5, and Leone's probably the project. He's coming back from a bad injury, so you kind of nearly need 2 for each of the centre-back positions, and then a 5th one. We always seem to leave ourselves one short. But I think we need to be looking further on into the future. So is Xhaka to come in and give Konate competition, or is he
somebody has to come in
to
and
be
give
the
him
long term, or is he coming in to be the long term replacement of Van Dijk?
He has to be competition for Konate.
Yeah, no. I agree, but I would still have another one if Gomez goes.
Well, but then
it doesn't necessarily need to be 100 million. It doesn't need to be a Bastoni or somebody like that.
Yeah.
But I just think we need another option. I think 5 centre backs is probably what you need. One of them being I don't want to call it a project, but one of them being kind of a younger centre back that's maybe not going to play all that often, maybe League Cup games. I think 5 is what you need. Like if you look around the places, other teams will have. Arsenal have 25 centre backs, but I do just think that with it being Van Dijk's last season, that if you have Van Dijk, and we're probably going to be going through this whole thing next season, is Van Dijk going to get an extra year? Is he going to go off and play in Saudi? Is he going to go and play MLS or whatever? Then you're still only if Gomez is on, you're left with 3.
But it all comes down to where Jackie sees his part in this. Does he see his part as coming in and being in a Leone kind of mold, where they're going to sign? The Van Dijk, they have Konate, and they sign another one, and they go, right, 2 of them 3 are going to play every week, and you're the backup. Maybe so, but it'll all depend on Jackie and where he sees himself there. The other thing isn't the guy off Bournemouth who was signed from Feyenoord on a free contract at the end of this season as well. So that's probably an interesting one to watch. But look, we'll wait and see.
Interesting to the point where, I know it came up in conversation because they were explaining how they know each other. But it's interesting that Hughes is ex-Bournemouth. They're talking about how they know each other through Feyenoord. They specifically mentioned Senesi that they signed, and then I think they mentioned another player, Sinestra, was it? Sinistera or something like that ended up going to Leeds. So yeah, I think when I heard the round table, I thought, that could be Senesi in the summer. But that could be again. I just think we need to bolster what we have at the back, and give him options to rotate. If it's him that's going to stay, we need a squad that he's going to be able to rotate. And I think you could easily see. I know Van Dijk has played every single minute of every game, but going into his last year, he's going to be 35, I think, at that stage. I know previous excellent centre-backs have played well into their late 30s, but it would be nice to take him out every now and again and have maybe Konate and Xhaka, or Leone and Xhaka, or Leone and somebody else, or Xhaka and somebody else, and just give us that break. Give us that. I just think this season that we are playing, only playing for 45 minutes of a game, not even that, 30 minutes of a game, we probably play the way we want to play. You need bodies there to be able to rotate if you want to prolong that kind of intensity. We've very lacked intensity an awful lot this season, and to me, he's afraid of his life of us running out of steam come the end of a season, a little bit like we did last year. Going into this season, we probably thought to ourselves, we've got the players now where we're not going to run out of steam, and then you get absolutely hockeyed out with injuries. He's not been able to rotate. We need to put ourselves in a position where we need to have strength and depth as strong as Arsenal if you're going to go against them to win this league.
I know, but you're people are in the chat there comparing Arsenal have 7 and 8 of them, or 6 of them.
Yeah,
Arsenal and City play centre backs at full back. Do you know what I mean? They just do. Like when you look at name Arsenal's all of Arsenal's centre backs, name them.
Well, the easier thing is to name their fullbacks. Who plays fullback for Arsenal?
Jurriën Timber.
Skelly.
And Jurriën Timber can play a centre back.
Yeah, but Jurriën Timber to me is their right back. And
they've got Calafiori playing as a left back. He's actually a centre half. They've got Ben White playing right back. He's actually a centre half. You've got Mosquera. You've got Saliba. You've got Hincapié. You've got Gabriel.
Yeah.
Like they've
and they play Hincapié and they play Hincapié left back.
Yeah, and Miles Lewis Skelly isn't getting a sniff. And he's actually I think he might be more of a left back.
And then when you look at
Lewis Skelly is their only out and out fullback. So if you actually think about
and Lewis Skelly isn't it? And Lewis Skelly, believe it or not, isn't a left back.
A midfielder.
He's a midfielder.
Yeah. Which is very Pep, because you look and Mateus Nunes is their right back now. You know, Manchester City don't like Nuri. I guess he plays on the left, but other than that, these teams don't have fullbacks. When you look at the actual numbers they have,
we have a goal scoring fullback now.
About the same. We have effectively the same.
I know that
fullbacks. They have 7 center halves and 1 fullback.
Yeah, the numbers are very close with each other. Maybe they have one more in a defensive sense than we do. Somebody did mention Gertrude there. Might be Pierce says might look at Gertrude again. Can play right back as well while Bradley is out. And then you have got
So I think if you lose a utility, Gomez.
You bring in the utility.
And you brought Gertrude in that can cover that. Like I know he's played very little in the defensive midfielder role, but he has played there, so he can do centre half, he can do right back and central defensive midfielder. So I think if you kind of lose a Swiss Army, you'd probably bring in a Swiss Army in Gertrude or somebody along those lines.
He gives Gravenberch the night off. Jones comes in and Jones goes right back while Szoboszlai plays in midfield. And Shawnee's just dropped into the chat there and he says, lads, just a heads up, he feels that Szoboszlai will be playing for Real Madrid in 2028. He says you can bookmark that one. But look, he does okay at right back for me, Szoboszlai, but he genuinely has to be the first name on the sheet in midfield and find some other solution at right back, because his range of passing, his drive, is willing to get in the box, is willing to, get shots away and everything else. It's a massive plus for us. And all right, he does well in games at right back, but honestly, the pros far outweigh the cons when you look at him. In a sense of, do I do midfield or do I do fullback? And I think he has to be there and there all the time in midfield. And people are talking about deals getting done. That one has to be. You need to start putting that in motion now. He's out of contract in a year's time, isn't he? In the summer of 2027, am I right?
I'll tell you now. Right? Go on.
I think he is.
I'll look it up now.
The Szoboszlai,
or maybe he's out in 2028 and Shawnee feels he's just going to run down his deal till then.
Probably. I mean, that seems to be the way that the sport is going in terms of big players transferring, especially. Yeah, so there you go. He's going to run his deal down with us and go to Real Madrid. And I mean, I think we might need to, as fans in this sport, just come to that being okay of players running their contract down and leaving on free agency. It's a much more North American thing. Like, it's especially big you see in basketball, baseball, and stuff like that, because players can get paid way more money if they're a free agent. Now, there's no trading, obviously. There's transfers in the footy as opposed to North American sports. But you're seeing it way and way more often because it gives the players so much more power to extract more money from the club that they're signing with. So I think that if that's a bridge we have to cross, that's a bridge we have to cross. So in the meantime, if we do only have Dominic Szoboszlai for another year and a half or 2.5 years, whatever the math works out to be, maybe let's play him in his fucking best position. Because he has been our best player and we have been playing him wherever we need him to. And he has stepped up admirably and been a leader in this team and been the best player in this team wherever he's needed to play. If we needed him anywhere, I'm sure he'd pop up and play left back. Like a James Milner type. He has that attitude about him, but he is so damn good that the drop off. Szoboszlai is probably a better right back than Curtis Jones, but Szoboszlai is far more impactful in that midfield than Curtis Jones would be. So it makes perfect sense. if you're going to play them both, if we don't have a right back for the next game, if Gomez isn't ready to go, obviously Ramsey's not going to go, but Frimpong I think might be maybe touch and go because we've got 8 days off between games. I know he was back in some light training. Frimpong, if he's not ready to go, please let it be Curtis Jones that fills in as the deputy right back. And let our best player play in the position where he's going to affect the game in the greatest manner, which is right in the middle of the park. Because, he's brilliant. And where we'd be without his impact in games and his goals in games, I don't even know. But it's a brilliant goal he scores. Like, it's all around. It's a beautiful goal.
It's when you look at him, when you look at Szoboszlai and the way he's playing, and I think the way he's stood up this season, I think he sacrificed himself an awful lot last season in the sense of what he done to help in the Mo Salah kind of area of the pitch. Szoboszlai done a hell of a lot of running down that right side. Even though he was playing in the midfield three, he was attracted over there an awful lot. I think this season he's played deep in a 2. He's played in the kind of the 10. He's played out right. He's played right back. He's done loads of stuff, and he just keeps coming through. Okay, he gets sent off against City, and that was a bit mad, but I kind of let them things go when you look at the overall picture. And when it comes down to it, I think you have seen people say, he's a future captain, and tell him that. I think it's hard to argue against them. I think it's hard to argue against him possibly being Liverpool's next captain should he sign a new deal, because when you look around the squad, Virgil van Dijk's coming towards the end, Salah's coming towards the end, Robertson's coming towards the end. Alisson's under contract, but we don't know in that sense. And after that, you kind of look around and go, this is all the new generation of Liverpool players around that then. When you go through them, there's probably very few left. Kanate is probably one of the longer serving ones now, isn't he? When you go through this team. And I think just the way he plays, just the way the impact he has, the relationship he has with the players, he always seems to have a really good relationship with the players around him. The fans love him. I think he's captain of Hungary. He's still only, 24 years of age? Somewhere around that. So I think it's not like you're just dropping on and going, is he captain material? He captains his country. You know what I mean? And I just think, okay, he's out of contract in 2028. I don't know if he's out of contract in 2028. It's kind of like, are we trying to get this contract done before we get into the 2 years? Because my nerves go once the 18 months. I'm like, the writing's on the wall. But yeah, I thought it was a brilliant goal. Yes, I thought it was really good overall. Matt, I'll stick with you. Mo Salah has a good game yesterday. I think that's fair to say. And when he has a good game, you should say he has a good game. Because when he has a bad game, everyone tells you he has a bad game. He had a good game yesterday. Looked a bit sharper, looked a bit quicker. I love the fact that we're trying to ping balls at him instead of just them standing out there. We're trying to actively get balls to him. Maybe he's seeing that there's a weakness in Brighton somewhere there, but it was a good sign from him. I'm not going to say he's like, he's going to fucking set the world on fire again, or set the league alight again, because of this one performance. But you take it as a positive, and you hope that continues on.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, there was the one ball from a free kick on the left-hand side that Szoboszlai hits to Mo, and it's like, oh, what a ball. And he takes it down brilliantly. There was a certain point in the game yesterday watching Mo Salah. I mean, first off, caveat this with, if he can play against Kadiolu every weekend, I'm liking his chances of adding a few more to his numbers, because Kadiolu is slow as shit. Because we know Mo's lost a step. I think it's indisputable that he's gotten slower as he's gotten older. But that Kadiolu, he really was a prime opponent for Mo to play against. But there was a few times where he made that cut inside and he pulled the dribble off. He didn't just kick it against the defender's shins that we're so used to seeing this year, or he went around the outside, or even like the little lay-on pass into Szoboszlai for the second goal. Those shades of old Mo Salah. It was so beautiful to see. It's really reinvigorating. I put a lot of it down to yesterday. To me, my watching of it was Florian Wirtz and Mo Salah playing the ball back and forth with each other a little bit more than we've seen for the rest of the season. It seems like Wirtz has been mostly operating off of the left, trying to work with Gakpo and everybody down on that side, mostly through Ekitike, obviously. But it seemed like they were actually linking up and playing with each other and having a little bit of fun. So it's very positive. A goal and an assist, he's starting to tick those numbers back over again. And I mean, at least we can ask for from Mo Salah. You know, if he's not going to put in the full effort, he's always at least given us the numbers. At this point, give us the numbers, please. Like, you know, a few assists and a few goals here and there. I mean, the fact that he got that penalty call it boggles my mind, because we know that Mo Salah doesn't get favorable treatment from the referee. So the fact that they actually allowed him to use his strength to get past the defender and then go on and give him the penalty for it, it was brilliant to see. So long may it continue, because I think if he finds a rich vein of form and he can put a few goals and assists in at key times for us, Mo Salah could have a telling impact on turning the general vibe of this season around. Vis-a-vis trophies mainly, is Mo Salah is still an impactful enough player that he can help us win an FA Cup or have a fucking run in the Champions League and go at it. Like, he just needs to put together another good 15 games.
Yeah, true.
But did I read somewhere that, or hear somewhere that was the first time that Salah has been awarded a penalty in 7 years?
I can remember being awarded a penalty away at Brighton for a very similar incident, believe it or not. Away at Brighton. Yeah, away at Brighton, he cuts inside and I think it might have been Pascal Gross pulls on his shoulder and he goes down and he gets the penalty, and people are like, oh, look at him diving. But like the following week, Harry Kane done the same. They're like, oh, he's really clever, isn't he?
Clever.
You know, I don't know, penalty Salah.
I thought I heard it somewhere. I don't know where it was.
I can't be.
Maybe it maybe have been, maybe it was Anfield or something like that, or I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Dallas reckons that Liverpool have become Real Madrid's feeder club. Who have we fed them?
Trent.
Well, Trent left.
Steve
Trent.
McManaman.
Yeah.
Steve McManaman's like.
Yeah. Steve McManaman was 28 years ago. Xavi Alonso was 6. Xavi Alonso was 17 years ago.
Yeah.
Trent.
Do you know what I like is that we've seemed to, and it's in the Xhaka deal, and there's rumours that it's possibly in Alisson's deal as well, is that we seem now to be adding this option of an extra year on. And United have been excellent at that all down through the years of activating this extra year. So a player thinks they're running down their contract, and then in the January before they're supposed to be free, you activate the extra year, and then they've gone on to sell players. So maybe that's a kind of a direction we're going in, because that's definitely in the Xhaka. I think it's 5 with an option of a 6th year. So maybe that's something that they're trying to put in place to avoid this Bosman thing.
Maybe so.
But the players will still just stay though. Like if the league, if you sign a contract, because that's not out of the ordinary with some of our sports over here, where sometimes it'll be a player option for an extra year. Like I believe, like when LeBron signed maybe his last or the contract before that with the Lakers, it was like 2 years with a player option for another year. Where if the player's form falls off, they can activate that clause, get paid at the bigger money than they probably get on their current form for one more year. So the club having it the other way around, but I just think players are going to do like what Trent did and just run their contract down. And if it's awkward in April and May as it comes to the end and you haven't said anything yet, and everybody kind of knows you're leaving but don't know for sure that you're leaving, that I think that's just going to become de rigueur, because the players get the money then.
Yeah.
And it just, there's only so much money in a transfer, and if you take one club out of the running, there's more money for the other two parties that are still there.
Dallas says Madrid got Trent. They did, and they've been sounding out Kanate. I think they've walked away from Kanate. McAllister, I haven't heard that one, and now Szoboszlai. And I don't know if Szoboszlai is being called by Real Madrid. I just think someone mentioned that he might be one of the best players in the world.
But it's not just Liverpool that Real Madrid.
But this is what I'm about to say to you, and he says I'm probably go for Ekatike and Wirtz after that. They might, but let me tell you something else, Dallas. Right. Real Madrid will look at any player in any top team with 2 years left in the deal and sound them out, because I can promise you they've done it to Saliba, right? They've probably done it to Gabriel, okay? And they will look at and I know these players have signed deals, right? But there's plenty of Liverpool players that have signed deals and Real Madrid have sounded them out. Loads of them. Just one has left in the last this time. All right. We get money for Xavi Alonso. We get money for Michael Owen, which Michael Owen, that went on for ever and ever. That's one of the most annoying ones for me, Dallas. But when you look through our Arsenal side, I'll tell you something now. If Declan Rice goes within 2 years of his deal, Real Madrid are going to be on the phone. All right? They're going to be on the phone. And if Saliba falls out with someone, they're going to be on the phone. And they're going to say to them, you just sit where you are. And we'll come for you. Don't worry about it. Raya in goal. They'll do it to everyone. That's how they work. And if you notice what they do now with Dallas, it's funny because look at you look at who they bring in on frees. Like they do it, don't they do it to Chelsea with the centre back, Rudiger? Don't they do it to him?
Yeah.
They tried to do it with. Did they try to do it with Alphonso Davies at Bayern, but that kind of fell apart. Am I right in saying that? They tried to do it. They tried to get. Wasn't it Alphonso Davies, the Canadian lad?
Yeah.
Yeah, tried to do it with him. They do it with everyone. You know
Did
what
they
I mean?
not do it with the other dude at the back? What's the other defender's name? Alaba. Was he not free?
Alaba might have been. How many players have Madrid taken from City? They tried to get Saliba, but got told to get lost, says Dallas. I don't know. You tell me. You seem to have all the answers. You're basing this on, they've sounded these people out. They've signed one player off Liverpool on a free transfer in the last 28 years, I think. Liverpool have got money for the others, probably not as much as we should, especially in the Michael Owen case. But my point here to you is, Dallas, is that if you think it's just Liverpool they're looking at, you're fucking mad, right? You're mad. And the other thing is, when it comes down to Man City can pay and pay and pay. Other teams can't. So if there's anybody there, actually do us a favour, Dallas, will you go out and find me out who has 2 years left on their Arsenal deal after this summer? Just do that a little bit of homework for me and come back to me. And then I'll take a note of them and we'll see how they go. And believe me, I will, because I'll sit on that for 2 years for you if you want, but no problem at all. And we did get money for Trent. It cost us 5 million. Madrid tried to get Davis from Bayern, didn't get him, but they got the scouts from Liverpool. Yeah, they did, yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like, everyone knows that. You just said it. We've said it.
How's that working out for them?
Yeah. So it's what they do now. What they do is they look and they go,
Alphonso Davies is going to win the World Cup.
They'll target three players, and two of them will be running out of contract. And they won't have targeted them now; they'll target them 2 years ago.
Don't be surprised if they've sounded Haaland out. Talking Haaland down there for a long time.
Yeah, Dallas says Saliba had 2 years left, and Madrid had him on their list, and he signed a new deal at Arsenal, same as Saka. Yeah, that happens loads. Mate. Before fucking Virgil van Dijk signed a new deal, Madrid were probably on the phone to him. Before Alisson signed a new deal, Madrid were probably on the phone to him. Funny enough, before Trent signed his new deal back in 2021, I think it was, Madrid were probably in for him. They go in for loads of them. They don't get them all, but they get some of them. But I'm just letting you know, that's how they work. It's just how they work.
There's legitimately, I think there's one team in the world that doesn't have to worry about Real Madrid taking their players, and it's Barcelona.
Yes.
Oh, they've done that in the past.
Well, Figo and Luis Enrique and Michael Laudrup, but they've played for both. But the thing is, it's gone too far now. I don't think you'll ever see that change again. I just don't. It's just how they work, and it's a really cute way of getting around the whole UEFA thing. It's just what they do. So there you go. Yeah, it's but do find me who has 2 years left on their Arsenal deal, and I'll just send me in the list, and we'll see how we go from there. Ashley says 2028 Rice 1 year option to extend. Odegaard, Havertz, White, Timber, Marino, Kyrgios, and Kepa. Well, half of them you wouldn't be bothered with, because they're shy. But yeah, there you go. White, no, not interested. Rice, most definitely, but he's an option until 2029, so you're okay there. Odegaard, he's a failure at Real Madrid, so I don't know if they'll bring him back. Havertz, I like Havertz. Why? No. He doesn't even like football. Imagine him having to travel to play. Fuck that. No.
But think about how much less he'd need to use the tanning bed if he played in Spain.
Less. He'd save a fortune.
He'd go out in the back garden. He'd save on power.
He'd be good. Yeah. He'd be happy there with that. What were the other names? Timber's really good.
Martinelli, Saka. They're all up next summer. Not summer coming.
No, I think Saka has a new deal.
I'm just reading it here on Transfer Market, and it says unless they haven't changed it.
Kanate, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Ekatike, Verts, all Madrid players in 5 years' time. The way this is going, but they couldn't be Dallas because you're telling me they're not very good. So there you go. Right, moving on.
Can we talk about that fucking clown car accident of a game from yesterday, please?
Which one?
Newcastle, Aston Villa.
Aston Villa. Newcastle.
I didn't see it.
Oh my God! Have you not seen the handball?
No.
I don't want to talk about it then because Ashley is going to.
We're going to ruin Ashley's show.
Aneurysm on Good Process this week. You guys are going to be able to do an entire show about one game. There was at least 7 incidents.
And we had some in ours. Engamawa's goal, quality finish. Easily
I know the Engamawa one is a joke, but talk to me about Arsenal.
Oh, if you think Engamawa's is a joke.
Let's see.
So hold on. In the Aston Villa,
I've got a short list.
So hold on. In the Aston Villa game, I remember I seen a clip of the keeper being sent off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they
that's
got
all
that
I know.
one right.
Yeah,
they got that one right. So the first Aston Villa goal is offside. Luca Digne should have seen a straight red card. Marco Bizzo, the greatest goalie of all time.
I seen one with Digne where he put his arm up.
It's the worst goal you'll ever see.
He was literally on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Oh my God. I know that Ashley has brilliant graphics and video to go along with this. So if you're not a member of the Patreon, check it out for a month, even if it's just for this week's Good Process show, because there couldn't have been a better advertisement for the need for VAR in modern football than this game. Chris Kavanagh and his team of 2 linesmen and the 4th official had the worst day possible for a referee to have. It was a disaster. But at the same time, not having VAR and the fact that it wasn't my teams, and I can laugh at both of these teams and go and read their fans having shit fits on the internet. It was brilliant.
Davey T thinks I'm messing. He says he is joking. I seen 2 clips from the game. One was the keeper being sent off, and someone trying to make an argument that he wasn't he shouldn't have went. And the second one was a Newcastle cross that Digne put his arm up to, and it was 100% a penalty. And we're like, and Digne's like nearly going, no, he didn't. And the referee went corner, and then I didn't see anything after that. And I'm not going to watch it. Because we're going to do Good Process on Patreon on Tuesday. So I'm not going to watch any of these because I like not watching them. If I know it's going to be, if I know it's going to be that good.
You're not going to need McGlinchey to keep score this week because the fans are winning this one comfortably. The referees don't stand a chance.
Okay, all right.
But it was incredibly fun because in the end, the karmic result happened. The fact that Newcastle eventually come back and win the game makes it slightly less of a disaster. But my Lord, just going on to the Newcastle subreddit during that game when it was still 1-0 Aston Villa and they had gotten fucked by the ref 3 times solidly. And it was aneurysms all around from everybody. So yeah.
Right. Well, I promise I've only seen them 2 clips. I'm presuming maybe one of, if not 2 of them, are part of this Good Process show that we're going to do. Ashley will let me know. Usually tomorrow she lets me know.
I think Good Process is probably called Good Process Villa versus Newcastle this week.
Right. Okay. Could be them. Okay.
Yeah, it needs a special supplement.
Okay. Right. So 100%. I'm not going to watch them. And check our Patreon out and we'll watch it. There you go. VAR removed for 3 days and the place goes up in flames, says Dylan.
It also just goes to show you how reliant these idiots have now become on VAR.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They don't have to make any decisions anymore.
But that's what I mean. Like, so
and the funny thing is,
championship referees are better.
But the funny thing is, right? Yeah, because championship referees have to watch the game probably a bit more, to be fair. But they don't have to make decisions anymore, and this is why VAR is an absolute fucking failure. Because when it comes to it and go, listen, yeah, they don't have to make a decision, but we have all the stuff here to make it. It ends up becoming, he's my friend, and I don't really want to fucking hang him out. I don't want to tell him he's wrong. Or like, mate, you need to. You know, the flag's gone up there and the fella's 3 yards onside. Like, you need to fucking say something here. And that's why it's been a failure. It's the actual VAR. The idea of VAR is brilliant. It's just the way it's done and the people are doing it is fucking weird.
Do you think the Lionel got a whisper in the ear yesterday for Gakpo's goal?
100%.
I think he did.
100%. Yeah. Because
Say
it was
again,
the right
do I think which?
The Lino Gakpo's goal, which was clearly offside, right?
Yeah.
We could see it on the replay. But like they're off celebrating, they check with the Lino. He doesn't put the flag up, and then literally about 15, 20 seconds
Yes,
later,
I noticed that. Yeah,
he has to have got something.
Unless he in his own mind thinks there's something else has happened, and he's talking to the ref, going, "I'm gonna put the flag up now if this is the case." It's a bit like when if this player has touched it, it's a goal. If the other player has touched it, it's an offside. You know what I mean? Something like that. Because they do, in fairness to them, they do communicate like that. They'll communicate and say, listen, I think it's come off that player, so I'm putting the flag up now after the goal's gone in. And the referee can say, no, it was actually such and such. Well, then you're okay, go ahead, goal. And maybe it was something like that, but it was a fairly straightforward.
And then have that conversation.
Yeah, but maybe
no, it was a goal.
Maybe it looked like a fairly straightforward one. Like, it wasn't like ball bobbling around in the box.
No,
do you know what I mean?
Yes, it was pretty clear as day. He did not see it, and he panicked. And it is, I think, the exact same thing happened in that Newcastle game with that handball incident that you're going to go through. I think the ref blew the whistle and then looked for help from the line, though, and they were like, I don't know. And he just went, this is my decision. I don't want to spoil it. Like,
what did he give? A corner?
No. So Ashley says the official line was that the liner was waiting for confirmation of the goal scorer from Atwell, and then when he was given that, he said no.
He's looking at the guy. You mean the guy that you adjudged to be offside, that's standing half in front of the defensive line that kicks it in? You were like, who got that?
Yeah. Because Dylan says Cody is 4 yards offside, looking at the lino, nearly asking him to put the flag up. Dallas says refs are lucky Newcastle won that game. It sounds like it. To be fair, Dallas, it does sound like it. The English football. Brian O'Hanlon says the English football media are always complaining about VAR and obviously want it gone. They just made total fools of themselves this weekend. But it's what Emmet says there, Brian, and I fully agree with him. They don't have to make decisions anymore. So when you pop them into the FA Cup and go, by the way, it's just you today, and they're like, bollocks, because I haven't been watching the line properly for ages. I just wait for the goal to go in, put the flag up and go, offside, and then they go, no, it was grand. All right, fair enough. No one gives a bollocks. Do you know what I mean? And it's all because there's lower league teams, and they don't do VAR. It's something along them lines. I know the League Cup doesn't bring VAR in until the semi-final stage.
I think it's the same with I think it's the quarter-finals maybe with the FA Cup.
Yeah, but to be fair, like, why don't they just use VAR where they can use it? And other games that don't have it. Other games don't make any difference to the one that's going on with you in the FA Cup. I'd understand if it was Premier League, but it's standard in the Premier League. But like, Mansfield at home to Mansfield were away to Burnley, weren't they? But let's say fucking Norwich at home to Cardiff, right? Or Liverpool playing Brighton. The fact Liverpool have VAR and Norwich don't makes no difference. None.
But they make it sound like they make it feel like it's unfair on the lower team. Surely, like, having VAR for them and them not getting screwed over is a positive. I agree. If it's in a ground where it's possible to use VAR,
use it.
They should just use it because it benefits both teams that the decisions are correct.
The only way they shouldn't use it is if they say, listen, tell you what we're going to do here. Let's say, for argument's sake, 3 Premier League grounds have a failure in VAR on a Saturday morning, and they can't get it working. And then they have to say, listen, there's no VAR on all Premier League games this weekend because we failure in 3 grounds here, and they all have to be refereed the same way because they're in the same league and it could have, issues. I have no problem with that. But this is, although it's the same competition, one game doesn't have a bearing on any other. It just doesn't. Do you know what I mean? So it's a weird one.
I think on this is, first off, I think the FA and the Premier League should be sharing some of the wealth around and helping more and more lower league teams every season have the facilities for VAR there. You may as well bring them up to the standard that you want the sport to be at. But the decisions from yesterday's games, both Rio being onside, Gakpo being offside, and then the entire fustercluck that was the Aston Villa-Newcastle game, almost all of that didn't need VAR facilities. It just needed a ref with the authority to go, hey man, I just saw the replay here, and that's a penalty. That's what is needed. You don't need the lines. Like, I honestly, like, you could have a fucking guy running down the sideline trying to keep the offside line with a laser pointer and another guy on the other side with a mirror, and that's your offside. You don't need that. Like, you just say it's too close to call on an offside. If there's a tight offside, say, we don't have the VAR to do that, but we have the ability to have the ref go, can I see that again? Oh, shit, he almost broke his shin right there, and his entire calf is all bloody from that tackle that I only gave a yellow card for. You don't need the super high-tech stuff. You could literally, the guy in the front row could hand you his phone and you could watch the replay on Twitter 5 seconds later and he could go, oh, shit. So just let them change it after the fact, because these calls were so bad that they obviously need some help. It doesn't need to be the most cutting-edge stuff, but Jesus, just show them a picture of some of these things again.
You probably needed one of the decisions to cause somebody to go out yesterday for them. Yeah. And I know Davey's in the chat. You kind of nearly needed that offside Aston Villa goal to be the winner for them to go, hang on a second now. Like, do you know what I mean? But the fact that all of the Ngamoa's goal wasn't decisive, didn't make a difference. Gakpo's obviously was waved offside. Villa's goal means they didn't win.
Well, you're telling me all the stuff that happened now. I don't want to know what happened.
No, but you haven't seen the actual video. Like,
I know, but
we can tell you everything that can
happen. I want it to be like, I want it to be like Christmas. I want to know what I'm getting off Sandy.
Fucking God.
You know?
You're not going to believe it.
No, look, it's going to be, I'm already looking forward to Tuesday now, to be fair. Look, they're true. Is there anybody you'd like in the next round, Matt? Anyone?
Nah.
I think someone said...
I said earlier to Davey, I would absolutely love it if we got Newcastle and Chris Kavanagh as the referee. Okay. I just think that would just be the best.
Well, Southampton, Norwich, and Mansfield are still in there.
Yeah, it's give me Norwich. It's been a while since we've had a player on our team that absolutely causes terror to a team that bounces up and down.
Suarez,
so if Hugo if Ekatike's got a little bit of that Luis Suarez, fuck you Norwich about him, it would just be great. Like, it would just be great if somebody just decided, I'm going to tee off on these green and yellow sons of bitches every time we play them.
Yeah. Dylan wants Norwich. A couple of people want Norwich. Yeah, Southampton, we feel like we played a little bit. City are going to get Mansfield at home. I don't mind wanting the home tie. Do you know who I'd love? I'd love Arsenal at home.
I was going to say.
Yeah. I'd love Arsenal at home. Be great. Be absolutely great. But listen, home draw. Home to Wolves, says Sam. If we play lower league team, we'll struggle to make more changes, in my opinion, like Plymouth last season. Brian says, I want City, because then we can get knocked out of the stupid waste of time overhyped English Shite Cup. Jesus, Brian, relax. I'd hate Wrexham. The rest of the country would be against us, says Davey. Yeah. Wrexham are still in it. Yeah. Look, see what happens. Draws. Is the draw tomorrow night after or half time in that game?
Probably half time or after, yeah.
All right, no bother. They should definitely get Rod Stewart to do it, because he does the best draws. The bestest football draws are done by Rod Stewart. Okay? So there you go.
Did you hear the palaver of the women's FA Cup draw from a few weeks ago?
No.
I'll show you after. They got like an influencer, like a podcaster, to do it with our girlfriend. She's going out with a footballer, but she started making. I think she actually did the "What do we think of Spurs" live with TV. Do you know what? I think it's an Arsenal chant, isn't it? Shit and all that kind of. But she started going to passing comments on clubs as she was drawing them out. Like,
brilliant,
fantastic. 6:35 apparently is the time. When it's on
again, then is it?
Yeah, must be.
It's the one show. I think they do it on the fucking one show or something, don't they?
Listen, they probably do it on fucking halfway through fucking, I don't know, fucking any of these programs. Just pick a program and just halfway through, just go, yeah, let's do it. You know, halfway through the bowls. Now we've paused the bowls now, because we're going to go across to Radio Studio 2. We're going to do the FA Cup draw. And over there is Mark Bry and somebody else, and it's just like, how are you? Let me see. There was one other thing there. Chris Hockley says, could you imagine Ali McCoist if we got Wrexham? Oh, for fuck's sake. He's fast becoming a fucking idiot, isn't he?
Him and Fletch.
Oh my God. Do you think they're like Ant and Deck, the two of them?
So I had them on Wednesday for Sunderland, and then we had them yesterday.
Yeah, they just won't fuck off.
The amount of times that they said Kerkez doing really well, I do really think it's bad form that after the performance on Wednesday that Robbo isn't seeing more football this season and all, and you're just like, oh my God, fuck off. Yeah, he's not exactly why you've. Well, Fletch probably doesn't, but McCoist has. It's called rotation. It's called passing the guard. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to keep fucking going on about it. Player probably feels bad enough as it is, not getting games.
Alex82 says, Donald Trump did the Rumbelows Cup draw, which is the League Cup, on Saint and Greavesy in 1992. It's on YouTube. Well worth a watch. I really hope that's right. I really hope you're telling me the truth. All right, I really hope you're telling me the truth. I'm with Chris Hockley.
Wow, it's 1991, but yeah, it's
1991.
Right there.
There you go.
Yep.
Fantastic. Send me a link to that. I might try wedge that into me and Matt's show on Thursday night somehow. If you haven't watched it, I Know Sports, he's a clown. Every Thursday night about 11 o'clock we go live, and it's all the sports. It's some what the fuck moments. It's some trivia. And it's just a laugh. So if you haven't subscribed to that, go and do it. We did. We're having a lovely time doing it, aren't we? We've done 3 episodes and it's fantastic.
Yeah. I can't believe how quickly we've reached the point where we're going to have to talk about cheating scandals in curling.
Yes, which is
wow.
When I seen this, I just sent you a screenshot and went, "This is fantastic," and you went, "There's murder," and I went, "It's brilliant. Can't wait."
Yeah. It's the fact that they're mic'd up as well.
Yeah. Davey says, I hate the guest commentator. Joe Cole butting in the other night, so there was 3 of them. But Joe Cole's butting in and he's trying to use big words and all. It's gas, and he's trying to. It's fucking unbelievable. Anyway, we're gonna go, and we've covered all of that. We've covered the contracts and all sorts of messing, even curling in the Olympics. Is there anything else before we go, Emma?
No, all good.
No, okay. Anything else before we go, Emma?
No, just there's the link in the chat on YouTube of Donald Trump doing the Rumbelows Cup draw in 1991 on St. and Greavesy.
Oh, nice. Nice.
The things that you didn't expect to happen on a Sunday night.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go and have a look at that now in a minute. As for this week, Liverpool don't have a game during this midweek, so we've a little bit of breathing space. We are going to be doing the Good Process show, like I said, on Patreon. And we usually make up a list on a Monday morning as to what we're going to do for the week. So check it out. Like, subscribe, and comment on YouTube. Check out Patreon if you want. Check out me and Matt on I Know Sports. He's a clown. You can do that as well. And if you subscribe to all of them, you'll be well looked after between now and Liverpool's next game. I've been Gav. That's been Emma. That's been Matt. That's been your Sunday night show. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.